Another day at the office. Hi, it's Brocarde here. I've just checked in to the Bodmin Jail Hotel. I know what you're thinking. You're spending a night in a cell. Well, almost a converted cell. So this trip is exciting. I'm going to do a haunted exploration of the old Bodmin Jail, and also I'm going to be spending a night in a converted cell, which now forms part of the Bodmin Jail Hotel. This is supposed to be the most haunted or the most active room in the whole hotel. It's room 311. It's directly above the condemned cell. Now, we all know what happened in the condemned cell. It was where prisoners spent their last few hours before they were condemned to death via hanging. This place has a fabulous history, a dark history nonetheless, but fabulously exciting. There have been over 50. What on earth is that? It sounds like there's someone scratching at the window. Oh, I don't like that. The really weird thing. It sounds like, I don't know if the camera can pick this up, but it sounds like nails scratching down a chalkboard. I've had a few sleepless nights now. I've had this trip planned for a good couple of weeks, and the last couple of evenings I've been awoken by a kind of whimpering noise, almost like a sobbing of a man, and it's unsettled me a little bit. I don't know who this person is or who this spirit is. I don't know, I found myself waking up and thinking about coming here and analysing coming here and kind of running through the whole experience in my head, and that's accompanied by a very strange whimpering. And as I just said, there's some very strange scratching at the window. I'll walk over to the windows in a minute and show you, and yeah, I'm hoping that does not continue into the night, because that's not going to be too pleasant. As I said, this room sits directly above the condemned cell and is considered to be the most haunted or the most active room in the whole hotel, which I think is why they put me here. So it will be interesting to see if anything happens. I know that these places are naturally more eerie after dark, and I know that's when a lot of paranormal activity happens. I've been researching into this, and the theory is that when the night air is thinnest, it is a peak time for paranormal activity, because ghosts are more predominant to the human eye, which is a fascinating theory, and no doubt true, because people don't often see a ghost at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Although I must say, a lot of my experiences with paranormal activity don't fall into the confines of what is expected. Now, a lot of people say a hotel is haunted, a jail is haunted, a room is haunted, and I agree. When you first come into contact with a spirit, then there is often a place of historical interest or symbolic interest, or a place where something may have happened to that spirit when they've been alive. But I found that spirits have followed me, and especially when I was married to Eduardo, his presence followed me. It wasn't always in one place, it wasn't always in the home. The spirit followed me wherever I went. You don't often hear about people experiencing paranormal activity like that. I was doing a brief touch of research, and I think it's natural to have a look into what's happened to people. I'm an inquisitive person, and I'm always going to be intrigued by this kind of stuff. And I did read a report of someone feeling like a ghost had followed them home from the jail. And there was also a theory from someone suggesting that that person was using this human as a way of getting out. Because obviously any spirit or any entity that is in this building is potentially here because they've been stuck here and been trapped here and been imprisoned here. And the theory is that they saw that person as a vessel to escape. So it's a fascinating, fabulous theory, and I'm so into paranormal research and learning more and theories as to why things happen. It's an amazing world to explore. Another really interesting thing about this hotel, any history buffs will love this, and it's interesting for you to take a moment and, like I said, as you can see, this has been nicely converted into a more than comfortable hotel room, but it's very, very apparent that this used to be a jail. Every room has a plaque in memory and references the person that lived in this cell. In this case, I'll show you the plaque on the wall in a minute because that's why I keep looking that way. In this cell was a man called Thomas Roberts. He actually ended his days in this cell. So he was one of the people that didn't get out alive. He was actually hung, and I went to a place the other day that this was common practice as well. He was actually hung for stealing sheep. And I believe it says 3 times, so he didn't learn his lesson. He was a serial sheep stealer. I suppose every crime is proportionate to the time in which it happened, but if you said that to anyone now, it's a laughable offence. It's not a rape, it's not a murder. It's to lose your life over something like that is quite traumatic, I would imagine. Each room comprises of 3 separate cells, so I'm assuming it wasn't just Thomas Roberts that resided in this room. There was obviously other prisoners. It doesn't say how long he resided in here. It doesn't give the context of that, but I'm assuming the people that they've put on the wall are the people that were here when the prison closed or just before the prison closed, because I'm assuming that there was multiple people imprisoned here over their time, unless, of course, they were imprisoned for life, as Thomas Roberts appears to have been, because obviously he ended his days here. So I'm hoping that I don't experience him this evening. I've had this very, very, very strong feeling and this very strong sense. And like I said, before I got here, I kept hearing a whimpering, a crying. And since I've been in these 4 walls, and I haven't done very much, I've checked in, walked through the lobby, in the lift, up to this room, I keep hearing there's some mad noises already in here. But it's a hotel, there are other people here, there's other rooms. So it could just be people minding their own business, going to their rooms, going down to the bar, etc., etc. As I said, this part of it, because now it's a hotel, is very bustly. It has plenty of guests, plenty of visitors, and it's functioning as a hotel. So any noises are likely to be other guests going to their rooms, walking down the corridor, although I'm pretty sure that another guest isn't going to be scratching at my window, because I'm going to actually try and climb up and open that and see. This one here is smashed, so you can see right through. So I'm going to try and climb up there with the camera and look out and show you how impossible it would be to scratch that window. Wow, something just fell down again. But as I said, this is the hotel part, and later I'm going all alone into the old jail, and I'm going to do some filming and see what I pick up. So that will be really, really interesting. So stick with me for that. This is the more calm, the more human side. As I said, the hotel is very different from the jail itself. The jail is as it was, or as close to as it was when it was functioning as a jail as possible. It actually functions as a museum. So I think there are plaques and props and things that have been displayed there. But that will feel more authentic and more in keeping with how it actually would have been when people were imprisoned here. So that will be really exciting, and I'm looking forward to sharing that with you. I feel like talking about seeing ghosts is a strange topic, because the people who judge you loudest are the people that get heard the most. Now, a lot of people think it's completely inconceivable and completely bizarre to communicate with spirits and see dead people. And I get that. I totally understand how, if you haven't experienced any kind of paranormal activity, that would be way, 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 way bizarre for you to understand. And people do think that it's generally, as a topic, complete tosh, to be honest, which I would do. But what I do find funny is that so many people in the world, so many people believe in things and entities that they can't touch. So many people practice different religions. So many people are spiritual in many different ways. And the residing fact on whether we believe something isn't necessarily that it's there and we can touch it. When I see and sense spirits, all of my senses get triggered. I can feel sensations in my body. I'm very, very emotional with it. I can feel like I almost take on the emotions of a building or the emotions of an entity. I thought this was quite funny because a lot of people are like, who's the ghost? What's his name? Where's he from? Well, how old was he when he died? It's not like an MSN 1992 chat room. It's not like a ghost comes in and says, hi, my age, sex, location is this. Sometimes a ghost wants to communicate a feeling or a fear or something that they're going through, like a trauma, a cry or an emotion that they can't suppress. Often I pick up on the emotions of spirits. It's quite a draining process because it takes over my own emotions, and it's a difficult thing to explain to people. People expect you to have the whole life history of the ghost, and I just felt something and I'm telling you that and I'm sharing that with people. Judge it if you will, have your own thoughts, have your own feelings about it, but I'm not necessarily going to know the whole ghost life story on one encounter. You know, a lot of the relationships that I've had with spirits have built up over a period of time, and it's not just walking into a building, seeing them and knowing everything about them. It's unrealistic. And sometimes a ghost just wants to communicate something through you, or you pick up a residual energy and you pick up a really strong energy that won't be suppressed by the here and now. I feel like you just got to go with whatever the spirit wants to communicate and not force it and not ask too many questions. I feel like a lot of people do these investigations and they're begging ghosts to tell you their whole life story, and they're trying to make ghosts jump through hoops. It's like, if you're here, move the chair. If you're here, tap on the window. That's mad. You have to consider that dealing with a ghost is like dealing with a human soul. They're not going to perform tricks for you or prove themselves. Sometimes they'll want to communicate, other times they won't, and that's fine. It's just understanding that and not trying to be too testy and just going with what you feel and trying to piece together what that might mean. And sometimes you could be way off. I'm just working with what I'm feeling at the time. So it's an interesting topic to discuss. I love the whole topic. I find it really, really fascinating. And I don't think anyone does have the definitive answer to it. And I know so many people are in quest of the definitive answer, but I don't know how we prove that ghosts exist. I don't know how we prove that there is spirits walking the earth. There are unrested souls. I mean, you're not going to get, people are like, oh, the perfect picture of a Victorian sitting in the chair next to you. It just seems unlikely that that's going to occur. I don't know. It blows my mind. It's after dark. I'm here inside Bodmin Jail. I feel like this isn't the right cell, but ever since I've stepped foot inside this wing, I can just hear a man's voice, and I don't know. I don't know who this man is. I don't know his name. I don't know why he's here. I know nothing about him. But I can just hear this silent sob. And he's saying, Millie, Millicent. He's crying out for a woman called Millicent, or he calls her my Mills. And I can just hear him repetitively calling out for this woman called Millie or Mills, or he's referring to her like affectionately. I don't know if it's a lover or a daughter. It's an affectionate cry, like he wants comfort from his Mills, and he keeps saying, Mills, Mills, Millie, Millicent. And this isn't the right room, this isn't where he is or she is. I don't know if he was locked up in here yearning for his child or his lover or someone he thought of very fondly. And I can see like his face. He's not a young man. He's slightly greying. He's not old, but he's, I don't know, it's hard to tell. Just turning grey, signs of grey. 50s, that kind of age, and he's just sobbing uncontrollably because he wants to be reunited with his Mills. And I keep seeing it, and I don't know why, and I don't know where, but it's not this room, it's somewhere else. And I feel like weirdly, we're inside Bodmin Jail, and this whole area is completely original, but obviously some of the items within these cells are here because this forms part of a museum. And weirdly, the cell that I'm most drawn to is the cell that has absolutely nothing. And I don't know why that is. Maybe there's no distractions, maybe, I don't know, maybe that's where this guy is calling for his Millie or Millicent or Mills. But that's like the most predominant thing that I felt since I've gone here. I was saying in my room earlier, like I was thinking about this trip, overthinking about this trip, and sort of waking up and hearing sort of weird whimpering, and I couldn't piece it together. I don't know who this guy is. I have no vision or recollection of why he's here, but I can hear his sorrow and his yearning for the person that he loves. I don't know if she's imprisoned here in a separate area, I'm not sure. I could just hear this man calling out to his lover or daughter, someone he thinks of fondly. I can't differentiate. It's not like a sort of sexual call, it's an affectionate, fond, someone he's very fond of, that maybe has been in his life for a long time. So I thought that was interesting. I feel like there's a hole. It's amazing, isn't it, that people... There's something, even though you think that people were locked up in here for their lifetime or days, weeks, months, substantial amount of time, I don't feel scared or uncomfortable by being here. I don't even think it feels that cold, or there's something quite peaceful about it. It's even when it's completely quiet and completely dark, I don't feel scared. I feel, I don't know what it is. It's interesting. But there's one cell. Weirdly, I feel like it's... A lot of the cells here have characters and props in them, but there's one up here that has... I feel like maybe it's here. No, that has hay. There's one that has nothing. Yeah, this one. This one I find most. I think it obviously does have something, like a projector during the day. But the fact that it has nothing, it's quite sterile. And just imagine how it would have been to been confined in this area for days and days on end. I don't know if this is the area really that the guy is calling for Millicent. I don't feel like it is. I feel like there's a weird kind of energy, like when you walk through the corridors here, it feels a little bit like you're being heckled. And obviously there's no one here. And it just keeps giving me like a horrible shiver down my spine. I feel like this is, I don't know. Like I was saying earlier that I don't like it when you put tests out to spirits. I don't like it when you say, oh, are you here? Did you die here? Were you hung here? What's your name? What's your location? This room is really cold. I haven't felt cold apart from here. I feel like pain, like someone is being beaten, or if you walk down the corridor, I don't know if you can hear it, but I feel like there's almost just cries of pain and well, it's ironic we end up in the torture room, and I'm sure that, I mean, I might be wrong in saying this, but I'm not sure if these were originally in these locations. That might just be a coincidence. I don't know if this is where people were punished, but I don't know, it's strange. I have no idea why I just keep getting drawn back to the empty room. And I know in the daytime when this is a museum, that wouldn't even be an empty room. It's different from, I don't know where this guy is. I don't know where the guy is who's calling out for Millicent. This is going to sound really weird, but when I walk down here, I feel like I'm being heckled in a really uncomfortable way. And obviously there's no one here in human form, but that kind of energy, I feel, is, the energy is here. There's a, I can hear it again. The guy is still sobbing and still looking for his mills. That's mad. It really smells like hay in here. Roger? Someone's saying they didn't do it. Someone's saying they're innocent. Someone's saying they don't want to die here. I feel like it's heavy. And places like this often are, like, they're really, really heavy. Like, sometimes I feel I'm like overly emotional as a human, but I feel like I'm overly emotional to spirits. So if there's places where people have been tortured, if there's places where people have had a horrible time, I seem to like take on the emotions, and I feel, it's like I feel a bit depressed. The claustrophobic and the pain of those people that are crying out for loved ones is, it's just quite consuming. Back again. Back at the same cell. You can feel like someone I can see like a little boy, and he's trying to play hopscotch, but someone keeps kicking his legs from... So it's not here, it's in a yard or something, and he's tiny, he's, I don't know, like here, short, floppy hair, like, and he's trying to do hopscotch like this, and someone keeps kicking his legs out from under him, so he keeps falling, and he keeps going, crying, but he keeps standing up again. He's still playing the game. He's still wanting to do the hopscotch. So he's doing hopscotch. Someone keeps kicking his legs out, but he's like, I'm going to play. I'm going to carry on doing this. And his spirit isn't killed. It's quite an uplifting feeling. Like he's like, I'm not going to be beaten. I'm going to continue to play hopscotch. And I know children were imprisoned here because in that era there was no age limit. If you committed a crime or an offence, you'd be sentenced to jail time just like an adult. So children did get imprisoned here, but I feel like this youthful boy is just wanting to be a kid and he's just wanting to play hopscotch. But I don't know if it's a punishment for doing wrong, but someone just keeps kicking his legs out from under him. But he's not defeated. He's saying, I will keep doing it. It was kind of interesting. It was kind of cool. Someone was saying earlier, am I a psychic medium? What do I identify as? And at the moment, I have no idea. I'm sensing all this stuff and I'm seeing all this stuff and just trying to like piece it all together and understand why. But I feel so calm here, and it's mad that I would feel so calm if you consider everything that's happened within these walls. Like 55 people lost their lives here via hanging. It's a calm environment. I don't feel scared. I could quite happily spend an evening down here on my own. I don't feel fearful of it. I don't feel troubled by it, which is a bit crazy considering everything that's happened. It's funny because I've been to buildings and I've had experiences where I've wanted to run and leave the room. I quite like this environment. It's quite beautiful in some ways. I don't know if you probably can't. I'm pretty sure the camera can't pick it up, but the guy is still calling for Millicent, whoever she might be. And I don't want to say, give me a sign or all of that stuff. It's crazy. Oh my goodness. You know, that is actually how they used to torture people. I know there's a mad skeleton dummy in there, but imagine that being your actual body. That is where you would be tortured. It's a torture device. And I guess when you're in that position, you're defenseless. You can't move and you could be poked and kicked, but you know what I mean? You could be prodded. But this is an original torture device. I mean, as if being imprisoned wasn't bad enough. Imagine having to go through that for stealing sheep. I mean, I don't think the punishment equals the crime. Certainly not in terms of what we're getting away with in this day and age. I mean, it's crazy. I feel that, like, not in a dramatic, obnoxious way. I feel a ripple. I'll tell you what it feels like. It feels like, you know, I was saying about the little kid playing hopscotch. Kind of going like that, subconsciously. It feels like someone is kicking my legs out from under me, as if I'm the little boy, which obviously I'm not. I'm a fully grown woman, but that kind of sensation where it's like that. I don't know if that's a guard or someone who's in power over this person. But I'm definitely feeling like there's a lot of pain and torture, which, again, is obvious because we're in a prison, so. Isn't it weird how I keep coming back to this cell? And I don't know why. I put my head, I can almost feel, I mean, these are thick walls, but it's almost like you can feel the movement and the vibrations from the other side. That sounds strange. It feels like you can feel people kicking, or I don't know, it's weird. This would be someone's day, this would be someone's evening, this would be someone's life. This would be your time within these walls. This would be well, it would be pretty much your life if you were sentenced to death. It's just you and your thoughts. The guy who's calling for his meals he's asking her to forgive him and not forget him. Like he's really wanting to see this person again. I don't know if it's a lost love or someone he's upset because he's become imprisoned. I feel like it's someone he's murdered. One split second, and she's gone. But he wants her back. But he's not in here for that. Sorry, it's a bit confusing. That's what I was trying to say earlier. If you're just authentic with what you pick up in a location, you're not going to have all the answers. It's not always going to make sense. I don't even know why I'm thinking that or sensing that or feeling this guy's pain. And I'm not trying to prove that anything really. I just don't really understand. She's gone now, and he's gone now. And they'll find peace together in the end. I don't know. Someone was lost. I don't know. You hear that? Like the cry, like can you hear the cry? It's really distant. It's really distant. It's not in this cell. I don't even know if it's in this wing. You hear that? I don't know, there's nothing from this exploration that's making a lot of sense. I actually feel like this is quite a beautiful place. I really do. It sounds weird to say that, but... Or maybe I've just reached the stage in this journey where I feel comfortable in this environment, like I'm not running out the door or begging for someone to turn on a light. That's interesting. I wish there was other people here with me. I feel like I'm verbalizing out loud. Imagine you would just be sitting here on your own. I feel like now I've had a few moments or a little bit of time in here on my own. I feel like I do want to ask you a few of your personal experiences, if you'd be happy to share, if you've experienced anything.
Absolutely. If you'd have asked me that question a number of years ago, because what you're actually asking is, I think, is it haunted?
I think I want to know, have you personally experienced anything within these walls that has resonated with you?
I've had numerous experiences here, for all the senses, actually.
Yeah.
Have I been touched? Yes, I have. One of the most unsettling experiences I had was walking through the wing here, and it was early in the morning, and I felt someone take my hand. And I'm very fortunate in the fact that I have a child, and I know very well what it feels like when a little one holds your hand, especially when you're my height. They tend to pull you down a little bit, and it was definitely little fingers pulling my hand down.
Oh, wow.
My gut reaction might have been to shake them off, actually, but I didn't do that. I just allowed it to happen. I've had things thrown at me. That's quite a frequent occurrence on this site. Small stones, bits of glass, pebbles have been chucked. And we also, rather oddly, get feathers randomly falling from the floor. Now, we don't have birds on this site anymore. It's enclosed, they can't get in, and they're always white, and we get those drifting down. The most freaky experience I had was in the basement, which I appreciate is a horror cliche.
Yeah,
it's a trope, isn't it?
Yeah, it's always in the basement or on a dark, stormy night, but sometimes those things are actually true, you know.
I got shouted at in that space, quite emphatically, and I thought it was a member of the public because I went looking for them, and it was no one in there. I know this is a space that we are keen to look at.
Yes.
So I won't tell you right now any more than that, and let's see what you experience there.
I have a few random questions. I know you mentioned that there was children imprisoned here. Would there have ever been a chance where they would have been playing hopscotch outside?
Absolutely.
Because when I was standing outside here, I could feel myself like I was a small boy, a small child, and I was trying to play hopscotch, but my legs kept getting kicked from under me, almost like a guard or someone else or another prisoner or another child was kicking my legs out. But when I was that child, I wanted to keep playing. Yeah. So I was defiant. I was like, I will play hopscotch. I want to play But someone was trying to stop me or saying, you shouldn't play, you can't play, don't play.
Yes. This was a mixed prison for men, women and for children. The Georgians and Victorians' views on children breaking the law was very different from ours today, so they were in here. And if they were in here accompanied by a parent, that would undoubtedly have been a female. This was the female wing, and there would have been young children accompanying women in here if their mothers had broken the law. There would also have been young children in here of their own volition because of the crimes they had committed. They're hard enough to control today. What that was like in a prison environment, I wouldn't like to say, and I don't think they would have had a particularly easy ride of it. No. Girls in with women, boys in with men, and if I'm a hungry prisoner and that child over there has a loaf of bread, I'm going to take it from them. Yeah. I am going to have a go. Yeah. So yes, I think that playful nature that children have would have been
kicked out of them.
Absolutely, yes, the phrase is right.
Last night I kept thinking about coming here, like overthinking about coming here. And I don't know, I can't piece it together, but I keep hearing the whimpering of a man, and he's calling out for this person called Millicent or Millie, but he calls her my Mills or my Millie or my Millicent. I don't know if there's a historical record of someone. And then it's really in between all of that beauty, because I thought it was an affectionate, I couldn't work out whether it was his daughter or there was someone he thought of very affectionately, and he was sobbing and he wanted to be reunited with Mills or Millicent. And then this like really weird thought came in that he killed her. And I was like, whoa, that came from nowhere, because all this whimpering was so affectionate and lovely. And I didn't know if that was just random, or if that, I don't know. I mean, you probably can't remember everyone who died here. That's probably a bit too much to ask. But
it's a curious question, actually, because we have a record of individuals who are executed here. Okay. And there are over 55 that we know of. Okay. What history is phenomenally good at doing is forgetting the victims' names.
Yeah. Okay.
It's only very recently, actually, that dialogue has come to the forefront, isn't it? We saw it with Sarah Everard, and we also just beginning to see it with the victims of Jack the Ripper. We can name them, as we should do. So unfortunately, our records are not precise on victims. We know some of them, but the longer you go back in history, the more opaque that becomes, unfortunately.
It's funny how you kind of sense a lot of things, but I'm still trying to piece together why that would be.
But that hodgepodge nature that you're picking up on in here is actually right, because this is a hodgepodge wing. Yeah. This is an amalgamation of different characters, of different genders, of different crimes, of actually a lot of anxiety and worry, of a wing for children, as we've said, and of a wing actually for quite hardened criminals. We know that this basement floor here, where we're currently standing, had some very unpleasant people in there who were not particularly the sort you'd want to hang out with.
Okay. And I'm going to ask you now, because I kept getting drawn back to it, even in the dark when I didn't know where the door was. Is there something about the empty room? Is there a reason that I would be drawn to that, or if it's just a nothing room?
It's a space that is directly opposite a flow of reported energy.
I see.
There is a cell down here which is not open to the public for very good reason. Okay. And it sits almost directly opposite the cell that you are talking about.
Okay.
And the experiences that people have had here end up with them being pushed towards the cell that you are talking about.
Yeah, it was really weird. Like, I kept walking up and down, and I kept and it was strange, because I find that cell a lot colder than all the others, but I was very comfortable in there. I sat there on the floor for quite a long time, and
you're braver than I am.
Yeah, it was weird. It was uncomfortable, but I kept getting drawn back to it. And I thought, is this just because it's empty? Is it because it feels perhaps less, there's no it's empty, it's an empty space, but it felt different from everywhere else, to me anyway.
The other geographical anomaly to point out with that particular space...
You're going to say it's above a ley line or something?
Well, directly outside where the old west wall of the prison would have run. Okay. And it was outside the west wall of the prison that stretched across the middle of three-quarters of the way down the naval wing that they executed. That end of the naval wing carries a punch. From our unpleasant locked cell it's now blocked off that you don't go in, to the west wall that would have split that wing, and over which those hanging crowds and the execution spot that we know of would have been. Wow. You are picking up on those, I would suggest, and you're also picking up on the fact that there are bodies.
Oh my goodness.
Now, we know they're buried on site, as they would have been in any old prison that was executing. We know that bodies of certain individuals, actually rather unpleasantly for them, are now in the car park.
Oh, wow.
But if you look at that line going through the naval wing, that is the cell that you're picking up on.
Oh, wow.
So they would have buried them within the confines of the prison with their feet facing the prison wall. And that sits almost directly on where you were standing.
Yeah, it's like my back was drawn to the wall and I was like, I'm just going to sit here. And I felt like I feel strangely at peace. And I was saying it to the camera, I don't feel scared. I don't feel like I want to run out, but it doesn't feel right. It feels off. But it was very weird. And I'm glad I didn't ask you before, because I think that does affect your sight.
Might not have sat on the floor.
No, I might not have sat on the floor, but yeah, I could. It was almost like subconscious. I was just like, oh, I'm just going to have a little rest. But yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah. So that area you're talking about is jumpy. It's got a lot of history layered on it.
God, it must be amazing to work out.
It's quite a sight, and no day or night is ever the same.
Yeah. Wow. Well, thank you for sharing your experiences.
That's our absolute pleasure.
Okay, so you said you experienced something interesting, so I'd love to hear more.
I open and close on my own in the mornings, and there was one morning where I was just walking past the execution experience, the hanging pit, and behind me I just heard a lady so clearly say hello, to the point where I turned around and just thought it was someone that was just lost, or a hotel guest, just not where they should be, and there's just absolutely no one around at all. And so then after that there was we heard baby crying. It was all happened in one morning. It was a bit weird. There was baby crying, and then just loads of random footsteps, but not heavy enough to be like a fully grown adult, just like little kid footsteps. But yeah, it just sounded like such a real person behind me, but there was no one there.
It must be quite an eerie experience to be here and close up on your own, open up on your own, especially
I try not to think about it, because I think if I think into it too much, I'd probably never come back to work. But there are a lot of things that happen, like footprints, like footsteps everywhere. We also hear like keys jangling all the time, but I just try not to think into it too much.
I feel like I say it would be scary because but I was saying it felt quite a peace.
I don't find it scary at all, which is weird for me, because before working here, I would have never even thought about walking around here on my own. But yeah, I walk around here all the time in the dark, and I just don't find it scary at all. It's really bizarre.
It's funny because it is quite peaceful. There's something quite beautiful about it, but then obviously if you heard a voice that would alarm you, and it would be a little bit.
Yeah, but I've just never at any point felt really scared, which is nice, I suppose. It's really good.
I'm currently in the basement. Yeah, of course. Great idea. So So someone thought it would be a great idea for me to crawl down a tunnel in the basement of Bodmin Jail, and of course, I decided it would be a great idea. So I'm currently making it down. I'm quite determined to get to the other end, so see you in 2 hours. I literally have grit in my belly button now because my skirt's just completely come off. It's slightly unnerving because I can see absolutely nothing. So if I need to get out of here quickly, I can't. But hey. I feel like I'm... Oh, I don't know if I like this. I can actually see like a really weird cage thing at the end. What on earth is that? Oh my God. That's mad. Wow. Can you hear like scratchy kind of weirdness? Oh dear. Okay then, another day at the office. Sadly, my time at Bodmin Jail has come to an end. I'm about to check out, and leave this beautiful location. I just wanted to take you on a little tour around one of the upper levels of the hotel. As you can see, all of those are rooms behind me. They used to be cells, obviously. It's a beautiful building. They've refurbished this really well. It's very obvious that it used to be a jail. A lot of the original features are still here, and I'll show you down the corridor. You'll see exactly what I mean. It's just absolutely stunning. And I'm not even a history buff, but I just have a great appreciation for this kind of architecture and this kind of building. And it's really, really exciting for me to explore places like this. See, my little tired face and my beanie hat. You can tell I'm ready for a car journey. But where am I going next? Stick with me and you'll find out.